Hello.
I guess
I
so.
guess so too. Okay, we're starting. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Guarino, Hamilton-Guarino. I'm the CEO of the Best Ever You Network and the host of the Best Ever You show, which we're kind of branching out onto TV a little bit here, I guess, or YouTube a little bit more. And my first victim, I mean guest, is is my friend. We're gonna see how this goes, right? You like that? Sherianna Boyle is with me. I have no idea what to do with the screens or anything fancy like that, so it's going to record just like this. But Sherianna, you can hold up your book too. Sherianna is the author of Emotional Detox for Anxiety. Yay! And her book is available wherever books are sold and on Amazon, all the good stuff. It's brand new. It just came out like right before Christmas, right? Hi.
It did, yeah. Yeah, it's still new. I think it's, new on the floor.
Perfect. So anxiety, it's a big topic. This is different than radio, isn't it? We're used to being on the radio.
Yeah.
So hi. Talk about anxiety for us and tell us why we should, rush out and go get this book, because anxiety is a huge problem, and I think people hide it.
Either they hide it or they talk about it all the time.
One way or the other.
Or they introduce, it comes up in conversations quite a bit. Well, I mean, it's pretty prevalent. I think it's the underlying cause of a lot of other things that are going on for people. It can lead to other things when it goes left unrecognized, untreated.
Right.
The bottom line is it's not going to go away on its own. And really where it gets its anxiety is about when something becomes chronic. So it's known for chronic worrying. That's how it kind of crosses all different areas, because when you're talking anxiety disorders, there's many different types of those. But what we know that crosses among all of them is the chronic worrying and the fear. And then what comes along with that are symptoms, right? Symptoms of feeling frozen, feeling like you want to run, you feel stuck, you might feel trapped. It really, Elizabeth, the thing that I've noticed about it the most is when it goes left unrecognized and untreated, is it really tears down your self-esteem.
Well, that, and what about health as well? I would
and your
think
health,
there would
absolutely.
be just certain, from all of that worry, something's got to show in your body, whether your hair falls out or you bite your nails or you're sick to your stomach or you don't sleep, right? So
it's due to the inflammation. So it creates a chronic inflammation in the body, and then that leads to other things such as, anything where we have inflammation is going to create, irritability and tension and stress on the body. The body's trying to cope with being in a chronic stress state. So yeah, I mean, it's a very real topic. It's an important topic. But at the same time, I prefer not to linger too much in that.
Right.
Because the emotional detox perspective is so different that I'll dip my toe just so we can get on the same page. But then eventually we got to kind of make our way over.
For healing, right?
For healing. And I don't know about you and what I thought, I don't get much healing from going over it over and over again, right? And trying to, and that's part of the reaction.
Different.
So, right, is trying to figure it out, and what I do, and do I do that? Do I try this? Do I try that? And it can be very costly not feeling well, right? People spend a lot of money trying to figure out how to feel better, how to function, how to be happy.
Yeah, how to not worry. I mean, we're all human. So I think it stands to reason that we'll probably worry about something at some point in our lives.
So basically, I talk about this in the book, that we're talking about stress is not a bad thing. We don't want to get rid of stress, right? We don't get rid of stress. I always say you get good at
maybe.
Stress, right?
Yeah.
It's when it runs those high levels that we become disconnected, and it kind of takes over and it just permeates your life in a way where you either get numb from life, right? You stop experiencing the joy, you stop noticing the good. You're all of a sudden you just kind of every day focusing on what's not going right, or who's driving you crazy. You know, I mean, see how it just kind of seeps in, and it's like a cold, you know. Now all of a sudden everybody's got the cold, and we're all got the sniffles, and it's just, well, that's just what our house has, kind of thing. So anxiety can be like contagious.
But your body doesn't have to have this because you've got this cool cleanse method.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of loving the cleanse method because I'm all about, let's not have the stress, the anxiety, and all that good stuff. The less I have to worry about, the better I feel. Personally.
Well, I would honestly, you're someone who's good at stress. I know you say that, but you are pretty good at stress. I mean, stress is not bad because it can motivate us. It gets us going, right? You are pretty good at stress. From what I've experienced, you're good at stress.
Well, different things. I think stress has different levels. You know, there's some things that, really will. I get more stressed out personally when somebody's really ill. Like my father being sick stressed me out. Yeah. My mother not feeling well because my father was sick and their struggles and so forth. It stresses you out because what stresses me out are things that you can't just fix. You know, they just sort of
out of your control.
They are, and they're out of your control. And and that's probably a perfect example even of, anxiety, and how do you manage that feeling, something you just absolutely can't control.
Right. And that's where we come over to the emotional detox and we build a new foundation. Because I don't know about you, but I can't build much from that fearful foundation and that coping foundation and that managing. I got to manage my stress, manage my anxiety. That all feels like a lot of work to me. And when you come over to the emotional detox perspective, it says all emotions are good so long as you feel them. So all emotions are good so long as you feel them. In other words, so long as you process them. So I think about processing an emotion as similar as food. So if you're to eat a piece of food, and if you weren't to digest that food, you would get symptoms. You would get bloating, you would get discomfort, you might get irritability. It's the same thing with your emotions, that you have them, but if you don't allow yourself to fully digest what you feel, to process what you feel, you will get symptoms. Many of those symptoms are symptoms of anxiety. Right. And then if it goes untreated for over a period of time, or something really awful happens, like your parent gets sick, it can then lead into depression.
Worse, yeah.
And then other health conditions, and then it feels like you're getting buried and you just can't get out of it. So when we shift our mindset, it's a lot of work to say, well, I want to feel this, but not that. No, all emotions are good.
Yeah.
So long as you feel them. That's it.
And this book, I'm going to bring it up again, is a tool for your toolbox. Because when all this stuff is happening and you can recognize that this is something that you can go to, and I think it really is one of those books where you can be like, you can dog ear it and, bookmark it and do whatever you're going to do and say, well, this page really helped me, and go to it when it's just sort of one of those resource books when you don't feel so great. Or if you need to remind yourself or whatever. It's really well written. I know in our audio we just did, you read page 17, which was about toxicity. Do you want to this time maybe point a page out in it, or I don't know how reading's going to turn out on video, but you go for it if you want to.
Let me just go really quick.
The cleanse method. Well, she's looking at the cleanse method is what Sherianna's written.
Yeah.
And
so in the book, there are what's called cleanse samples. Mm-hmm. And so the cleanse stands for, it's an acronym for 7 steps, 7 mindful steps. It sounds like a lot of steps, but they go in order and they support one another. And over time, it becomes like just one practice, right? So in the beginning, it feels like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But as you practice, it's just a practice, right? That doesn't feel so segregated. But for the purpose of learning something new, it takes time. This is actually what I would suggest for people, is that it's something you do every day.
Oh, that's a good point. And maybe I like what you've written here. You have a kind of a glossary too, because some of the terms are going to be really unfamiliar to people. And so it might be a really good idea to go through some of those terms. Is that in the, it's in the back end of glossary, right? I thought that's.
So because it's like my language, I speak it all the time, and I speak emotional detox language. And it wasn't really until I went out and started teaching, people are like, can you just like put this all down on one paper? These because you use terms I'm not used to hearing, and that's part of shifting into a new way. Is we can't create something new on old language, right?
No, exactly.
I can't focus. So then the old way, we focused on symptoms. In the emotional detox perspective, you cannot have a symptom of anxiety without an emotion.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The old way was, let's focus on the symptoms. What I'm saying with this, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other. You might actually dibble and dabble. You might do both.
Right.
But is that you're going to be focusing on your emotions and then see what happens. You might not need to actually use any of the other ways that you were coping anymore once you feel the emotions. But the priority is you feel first, then you make a choice. If you need to, because you might not need to.
Well, tell me an example of that, like where you might not need to.
So you have a stressor, you have something on your mind, Elizabeth?
Yeah, always.
Something you could share that would be simple, or anything?
I get stressed out when the kids are going back to school. They're on planes, they're on the roads. They're, I think, pretty normal parent stuff.
So when they're in transition, or they're
going back, to and from college, getting here. Yeah.
Okay. So does it feel a little bit like a disruption as well?
Yeah, definitely, because the family, when you're used to, I have 4 boys, they're 18 to 24, and the 2 older ones are sort of back from college. They have jobs, they live here, but it's really nice when we have the whole family together.
Yeah.
There's, all 4 kids home and all the good stuff. Yeah. But when they go, there's a lot less laundry, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But it's quite, everything changes, the amount of food you make, everything.
So we have a choice. We could either focus again on what you're feeling and the symptoms and how you could cope with that. So maybe a little worry, maybe a little nervousness, maybe a little distracted, maybe a little, we could focus there, or we could choose to focus on the emotions. And what I'm saying is we'll focus on the emotions. So when they go back, or when the boys go back to their college, we would be focusing on, how does that make you feel?
Good for them. I mean, I always think it's great for them, but how does it makes you feel sort of, it's a good anxiety lesson too. It really is, because it makes me, what it does for me is it makes me feel very nervous.
Okay.
And, it makes me feel very nervous that they're going to get to where they're going. They're going to be okay at school. They're going to be fed. They're, makes you nervous.
Yeah.
Worry.
So it makes you feel makes you feel nervous. So nervous is coming up in you. Either there's, in the emotional detox perspective, there's 2 choices.
Yeah.
You can either heal, or you can revisit or re-traumatize. Nervousness is coming up. So you're going to choose healing, right? So nervousness is coming up in you to be experienced, to be processed. Most likely, Elizabeth, because, not that you don't worry about your children, we all worry about our children, because there was a time in your life where you experienced the nervousness, or many, many times in your life, but you never allowed yourself to process it.
Right.
So it's going to keep coming, and if it's not your voice, it's going to be something else.
Something else. Yeah. It,
Right?
you know, well, it's
You
really
know that.
interesting too, because I recognized it at first. This is
Yeah.
our fourth one to go to college. So, you know, it sort of feels like it's old hat. So, but I brought that up as an example because I think it's a really common thing
Yeah.
us moms feel when our kids are coming and going and growing up and getting jobs and moving out and all these things. You worry about their you know, everything probably. Sometimes people, when they are an empty nest, which we're not quite, but they go, yeah, I'm done. You know, kind of thing. And I am not that way. I love having them all home.
Yeah.
So, but there's all sorts of emotions to process when your kids are growing up. Oh,
There is, but the reality is a lot of these emotions that are looking. So I know we just had a little radio thing, but I don't think I defined it here. How I define anxiety in emotional detox. Anxiety is an emotion looking to be processed, but can't because we won't let it.
I like that. All right.
Because we've been trained not to. We've been trained to restrain. We've been trained to, tone it down, keep yourself in check, don't let it up, right? Yeah, right.
I did the first one. The first one I full on bawled all the way home.
Yeah.
The fourth one is like, okay, he's gonna be all right. But
yeah, and so the thing is that we're coming into a time where we're learning more about emotions and also and it's really been through the cleanse that I've had different experiences with emotions that I've never had before. And my goal is to help other people feel that, because honestly, when you're truly feeling, there is no sadness.
That's interesting too.
Yeah. When you're truly feeling, you are so calm and so connected and so you feel like yourself. That's the best way I can explain it. It's not about being someone else and living someone else's life. It's really about, oh my gosh, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm me.
Grounded. So one of the things that I've done, especially as a human being that's nearly lost my life a couple of times, I ground really deeply in gratitude. So while I use that as an example and try and kind of drum up the drama a little bit for an example, really what I am is really quite grateful and really quite proud, really quite happy for them. Really, there's a way more different higher energy being applied. They're really good kids. They're going to do their thing. They're thriving. They're growing. There's all this happiness. So I sort of kind of actually root in gratitude. However, when the first one, and this was years ago now, left for college, I did not know how to process that. It was like, almost felt like the world was ending. It was like this happy, sad moment all in one. It's like, I'm really happy for you, but wow.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if there's some component of that where you sort of don't know you don't know how you're going to react.
You mean when you're processing?
Yeah, I would tell you that. I would never, sometimes you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was going to react that way or respond that way.
Yeah, they're all different. They are reactions, really. I mean, and so most of what we experience is a reaction. And in the emotional detox perspective, I really only believe there's one emotion, and that is love.
Yeah, you said that.
Everything else is a reaction, even guilt.
Ooh, even guilt, huh?
In this perspective, yes.
All right.
Right? So, because if I'm feeling guilty, I'm actually not feeling it all.
I have to think about some of the things you've said. I have to go back and reread again, because those are really good statements. Kind of like yesterday when we were on there, you're like, "Ooh, that's a good one." And it's nice when people do that, get you thinking about different things and different ways to look at what you might be thinking might be an everyday response or reaction. Apply a different layer to it, and it might look completely different to you, and maybe less full of anxiety, fear, and all those things. So. All right, in the spirit of keeping this timely also.
Okay.
We're going to end this, which is, I don't know how to end video. I probably don't even know what button to press, but so we're going to end like we do on the radio. When I get to hold up your book again, you should hold up your book again, because it's really awesome that you are you and it's your book. So Emotional Detox for Anxiety. Do you have any of the other ones there handy, or are they all? No, we're not going to make you get up. She's got too many books. Are there 8? Is there 7 or 8 books?
There's 8. There's 8.
Well,
yeah.
I love this one. It really details the cleanse method and what you're doing. And I know you have an event coming up in Lenox, Massachusetts. I'll let you say that name.
Yeah, Kripalu Health and Yoga Center. It's basically Emotional Detox Level 1, January 31st. And the intention is really to teach people the 7 steps, practice, put our real life stuff in there, just like what you do. You know, let's put it in there. Let's
on the table.
Play with it. Let's see, you know, what comes through, what insight we get, and very supportive environment. A little bit of yoga, not a ton, but some.
And how was there a price tag on that to attend? Is there a cost?
I mean, it's Kripalu's.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. So whatever is on their website is yeah.
All right. Well, as usual, I thank you so much for being here with me. This was fun.
Yeah.
Y'all listening, let me know what. Yeah, I know not to talk with my hands, but I've done it a few times and sit back on my hands again. But thank you so much for listening. I guess we can call this the Best Ever You show, right? It's Best Ever You TV.
Yeah.
Best Ever You TV, right? Next, we're going to try Facebook Live. Okay.
Fun.
Look at you. Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, then people can ask questions.
Perfect. That'd be cool. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Visit us at besteveryou.com and sheriannaboyle.com. I'll put all the links with the show, and we'll just go from there. See how this works, right? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Out. Take care, everybody.